Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's been a whole month since since I was last here. SubhanAllah, how time goes. It's good to see you all again, and alhamdulillah, I think I see a lot of familiar faces. I think I see some new faces. For those who don't know me, my name is Ridwan. I'm a GP. I live in Barking, but I work mainly in Europe. And I have two children, aged 15 and 9. So I have some experience of parenting. Many of you have more children and probably have children who are grown up, so you probably know more than I do about parenting. But it is definitely one of the big challenges of raising children in the Western setting. And one of the things that I've done for a while now is actually write about some of my experiences and share that with people. And Brother Mubarak, he sort of asked me to, since I write and have an interest in this, is to come and share some of what I've learned and my thinking. With no doubt, I don't know everything there is to know about parenting. I'm learning myself. There's many challenges that I'm experiencing myself. But I think one of the things that I've learned is that we need to work as a community, as a group, to help each other. And there needs to be forums where we can come together. Because sometimes we think, I'm the only one who's suffering from this, or I don't know what to do here, when actually other brothers, sisters are going through the same problem. Or they may have actually dealt with that and know how to. So by exchanging ideas is very important. So as a community, and the masjid, to be honest, is the best place for people to naturally come and have these sort of events. So I think it's worth the effort of coming to these and then being part of it. Now, obviously, I only come once a month. I'm invited to speak only once a month. That's very good. But we have a WhatsApp group. So if there are questions, thoughts, ideas that you're worried about in the course of the month, then you can put something on there as well. If you need to know the details of the WhatsApp group, just approach Brother Mubarak here and he'll put you on there. Okay, Bismillah. So last time, a month ago, can anyone remember what I talked about? You have to be there, obviously, to know what I talked about. But anyone who was there last month, can they remember what I talked about? I'm checking the memory. We did say this is an interactive session, yeah? So you've got to be on the ball. Brother Shamraz.
Why do we want kids?
MashaAllah. So that was the first question I posed, was why do we want to have kids in the first place? Why do we have children? It's a strange question to ask, you know. We get married, grow up, get married, have kids, and we just get on with things, yeah? But it's a very important question to even ask, why? And the answer to that question is, can anyone remember in one line, what was the answer? What's the purpose of having children? So that they become worshippers of Allah. Who said that? Your brother here? No, some brother. Ah, mashallah. So, were you here last time? That's perfectly said. See, he was here and mashallah, he took that on board. So the most important, fundamental thing, why do we have children? Because lots of people have children for lots of reasons. It could be that they're thinking about their children to help them in their old age. They're thinking about children as breadwinners and giving them money and supporting them as strength and power. Look at my family, look how big it is. It could just be people feel lonely and they want a child, that instinct to have children. Yeah? But actually for the Muslim, the reason why we have children is that we want them to continue on the worship of Allah after we're gone. So we will all pass away, but they need to continue. And this is actually what the prophets, they would say. Yaqub alayhi salam at his deathbed, when he gathered his sons and he asked them, what will you worship after I'm gone? Very strange question to ask. He's a prophet of Allah talking to his sons. Of course they're going to be believers, but he's asking, what are you going to worship? Because he wants to make sure that they will continue on the worship of Allah. So that's point number one I made last time. Keep that in mind, because what I'm trying to, we can talk about nitty-gritties and advice, but sometimes there needs to be frameworks in our thinking. So if we ever get stuck and we're not sure what's going on, we just fall back and say, okay, what is the whole purpose of me having children? It is to have worshippers of Allah. So what do I need to do for my children then? It just reminds you sometimes when you get lost, when there's so many things happening. The second question I raised was that, okay, what do we want in our children? What does a successful parenting look like? What does a successful child look like? And I said there are three things that we always need to bear in mind. And can anyone remember? Number one was what? That they should have?
Iman.
MashaAllah. So you were there as well? Okay, there you go. So So you can see the effects, good effects, alhamdulillah. So the most important thing, wallahi, the most important thing for your children is that they have iman, they die on iman. Because, you know, they can sin. Is sin the most dangerous thing on earth? For anyone? Sin is bad, of course it is. But is it the worst thing that can happen to a Muslim?
No.
Because if you sin, you're right, it's not. Because if you sin, what do you do? Seek tawbah. And actually Allah loves that. He loves that, yeah? And He knows that you will. There is not a single man here who's going to say to anyone, say, I'm sin-free. That's impossible. Yeah? So let's get that out of our head. We will sin. Our children will sin, we will sin. Yeah? We will sin. So the worst thing isn't sin. Because actually that's a good way of teaching our children what to do when they sin. And one of the things I've found, for instance, is that sometimes when our children sin, we get very upset and we actually cut them off and we actually make things worse for them. At the time when they sin, what does a child need? Support. Yeah? Because he's a child. Even us, think about it. If we sin, what do you need? You want someone to remind you, Akhi, this is not right, think about this. Think about it like this way. What you're doing is not right. Maybe try this. Seek tawbah from Allah. You want that support, not, look at this man, he's like this and that. And our children are even more fragile, still haven't developed. So we need to teach them this, very important. At the time that they sin, don't turn them away, actually support them. Yeah? Don't abandon them when they sin. They will sin, that's the nature of human beings, they're going to sin. But we want to develop them so that they get over it and show them how to get over it. Yeah? Give them hope. That's such an important point. You know that story, there's this beautiful story of the man who killed 99 people. This was at the time of Bani Israel. Yeah? And he went to the place and he said, do I have any hope? He went to a learned man, do I have any hope? And the learned man says, nah, you got no chance. You killed 99 people, no chance. What did he do? He killed him, so 100 people. Okay, he killed 100 people. So you didn't give me any hope. You told I was finished, I have no hope, so what's the point? I'll just continue doing things. So then he went again to another learned man and he said, do I have any hope? And he reminded him, of course you have hope. It doesn't matter what you've done, because Allah is Ghafurur Rahim. He will, as long as you make tawbah to Him, of course He'll forgive you. And what did that do? He said that you need to now go to this town, because they will tell you what you need to do. So he was on the way to the town, and then he died. And then the angels came, and they were arguing who should take him. Because one group of angels said, well, he killed 100 people, he's a bad person, we're going to take him to Jahannam. Another group said, but he was trying to do something good, so we should take him. And they were arguing, and then it went to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah said that, see where he's closest. If he's closer to the town that he was supposed to go to, then he is with the side of good. And if he's on the bad town, he's on the side of bad. Now the angels started measuring, and they found they were going to find that he was actually closer to the town of evil. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala got the earth and squished it. So actually he was towards the side of the good town, and he was saved. But this story is such an important point, because what it tells us is that we need to be able to give hope. Look at ourselves even, If everyone keeps telling you you're a sinner, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, then what is that going to reinforce in you? I've got no hope, I've got no chance, so I just continue doing bad. As opposed to actually give people hope. The way we speak to them is that, and you'll see this with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would always, if someone did something, he would correct them, but give them the option. Okay, what do I do next? So there's that famous example when one of the Sahaba, Mu'adh ibn Jabal, he was leaving, and he was saying to him, leaving Medina, and he was saying to them, look, if you do, fear Allah wherever you are. Fear Allah wherever you are. That should be a protection for us, that taqwa, that fear. But then he said, but if you do an evil thing, if you do a sin, so even though we may have taqwa, we're human beings, we may do evil. What did he say? Now follow it up with a good action. SubhanAllah. Think about this for a second. It's giving so much hope that yes, have taqwa, but you might do something wrong. And if you do, then cover it up. with a good action. Yeah? So we need to be giving our children hope. Yeah? So Iman, and I'm going back to the point of what we talked about last time, is that Iman, if you sin, it's not a problem. It's not the end of the day. We will sin. We all sin. Our children will sin. Yeah. But if you lose Iman, that is a big problem, because that is the one thing that Allah does not forgive. If you die as kafir, then Allah will not forgive that. If you die committing shirk, Allah does not forgive that. So that is a big problem, because ultimately, what do we want for our children? Where do we want to be with them? In Jannah. That's where we want to be. Because this life, we know is going to be short. How many years are we going to live? 50, 60, 70, 80 maybe? And our children will pass away, our children will live, and then they'll pass away. But we want to be with our grandparents, we want to be with our parents, we want to be with our children, we want to be with our grandchildren, united together in Jannah. Forever. No. Just think about that thought. It's forever. Can you imagine that? Forever you'll be with your children, the ones that you love, and the ones that you've seen in the past, like my grandparents, and they passed away. May Allah give them Jannah. Yeah? And may Allah give us the ability to join them together. This is what we want, isn't it? So this is the one thing, if your children die on Iman, and that's why it's so crucial to keep an eye out for that. Now, is there a threat to their Iman living in the West? Or anywhere actually? There is a huge threat. There's a huge, and we'll talk about this in more sessions, yeah? Some of the more precise, nitty-gritties of what it is, but there is a huge threat to Iman. Because we live in a system which, do they believe in Allah?
No.
No. And they're actually active against it. It's not like, oh, I don't believe in Allah, I'm just quiet. No, they're not quiet. They actually propagate it. They spend their effort and their money and their time by doing this. Either they do it directly to undermine it, or what's the other thing that they do? If they're not directly undermining it, what do they do?
Indirectly.
Indirectly how? What do they do?
Through their programs.
What they do is that they distract us.
Yeah.
They keep us busy with rubbish. Entertainment.
No.
Football, games, films, all of this stuff. So sometimes it's direct. Yeah? There is no God. Sometimes it's subtle, it's indirect. I'll give you an example of this. Yeah. Before the pandemic, so this is 2019, January. My daughter, I spent some of my youth in this country when I was very young. And there's one place I really love. I'm into nature and all of this, living natural things. And the Natural History Museum, everyone know where that is? That's in Kensington, yeah, the Natural History Museum. And it's a wonderful building, lots of stuff to see and explore and everything, yeah. So I took my daughter a couple of years back, and on the way she was asking, she was 7, 8 years old then, and she said to me, Baba, what does natural mean? Because she said Natural History Museum, what does natural mean? And I was thinking, okay, how do I explain natural, yeah? My daughter has this ability that if she doesn't know something, she'll just ask you, yeah? So I was thinking, how do I explain natural? And I said, it's the things that are like, the plants and the animals and the rocks and the mountains and all of this sort of stuff. And then she said, you mean all the things that Allah has created? And I thought, yeah, that's what I mean. So she got to the point, mashallah, yeah? So it's all the things that Allah has created. Now, when you go there, and it struck me, because we were on the way, and it struck me what she said. She said, all the things that Allah has created. I went to the Natural History Museum, we went around. Who's been to the Natural History Museum, by the way? Okay, you should go. You should go. There's a lot to see. Yeah? But what was interesting is that this whole building, it's a massive building, so many things in there. Yeah? Dinosaurs, living things at the moment, birds, animals, this, that, rocks, plants, everything they know about the world, basically. Yeah? And yet, in that entire building, was the name of Allah, or God, mentioned anywhere? Amazing, isn't it? My daughter said, all the things that Allah has created is natural. This is the Natural History Museum. And yet the name of Allah is not mentioned anywhere. As though these things just came from nothing. It's just there, which is what they actually say. There are exhibits which are clearly, they say, human beings, we came from monkeys, and they show the pictures and the skeletons and etc. So one is directly they're saying, all of this, it just came by evolution and this and that. Or they indirectly say, all of this just happened because there's no mention of Allah. Do you see how subtle these things are passed? Your children will go with their schools to the Natural History Museum. Your children will go to the Natural, you might even take them yourself, but you might miss this point. And if you're not there to fill it in, actually your children will come away and say, yeah, this and that, and then they'll see the pictures, they'll see the things, they'll say, oh, okay, monkey, half a monkey, half a, 3/4 of a monkey, and then what looks like a human, yeah? I say, oh, that makes sense, doesn't it? If you're not there to fill in the gaps, this society won't do it for you. And in fact, this is what I mean with the subtle, dangerous ideas that are there, which will take our children away and actually cause confusion in their minds. Cause confusion in their minds. So we need to be very careful about these things. And actually, you'll find that if you observe, you'll find this all the time. You'll find this all the time. Little things here and there that is there to take our children away from Iman. And of course, the other thing is not just here in the West; it's everywhere. Because of the internet, now, you know, if something happens here, our kids over there, they're seeing the same thing. Yeah, someone makes a comment here, they're seeing the same thing. You know, I was in Bangladesh, I'm from Bangladesh, I was there about 3 years ago, and I was talking to some of my relatives, and one of them was talking, he's at university, and he was telling me that, you know, some of these ideas, atheistic ideas, it's not unusual, it's not unknown. These ideas are there, people are slowly going away, the Iman is being eroded and broken. Yeah, and we should be very careful about this. And as I said, the importance of Iman is what? Is because if our children were to die not on Iman, then that is the greatest loss. Yeah. You know, if they sin, you know, there's a beautiful there's a hadith, isn't it, that talk about, maybe it's an ayah as well, that the people who get to Jannah, they can intercede. They can ask Allah, they'll go to Allah and they say, where's this brother that we used to know? Yeah, where's this person? He used to be with us, and where is he? And then they will see this person in Jahannam somewhere, yeah? Because he did something, yeah? He did some sin, he's paying the time. And then Allah will say, okay, send the angels to go and get him. Because these people, they asked about him, yeah? Go get him. So the angels will go in the fire, and they find him, and they'll recognize this person by the mark of sujood on his forehead, yeah? And they'll grab him and they'll pull him out and take him into Jannah, yeah? By the way, all the brothers here, if you get to Jannah and you don't see me, please do that for me. Inshallah. This is my request. This is the only request I have. I don't request much from people, but one request is that if you get to Jannah, and if you just remember, 25th of December 2021, this brother was giving a talk, and we don't see him anywhere. Just ask Allah, where is he? Let's get him out from that. Inshallah. So Iman is such an important thing. That was point number one. Keep an eye on Iman. And it's these subtle little things, the ideas that they carry or not carry, which is important to know. Point number two as well. Can you remember? What was the second thing you need to keep your eye on? Can you remember? It was happiness. Yeah. It was happiness. Why? Sometimes, you know, we want to be, you know, because the problem of living in the West is that they have a different understanding of what it means to be happy. What is their understanding of happiness?
Material world.
Material things. They believe that if you have material things, then you're happy. You should be happy. You've got a big house, happy. Big car, even more happy. You know, or go on holiday 5 times a year, happy. Yeah? And that's why they don't like the pandemic very much. Because it's taking away everything from them. Yeah? They can't do the things that they want to do, and that's why they're so unhappy. Yeah? And there's other reasons, but that's the key thing, is that their understanding of happiness is material. And that is why you have so much depression, so much loneliness, so much mental health issues amongst them. Because everything is about the things. If they don't get those things, then they don't know what to do. And you find that there's two groups of people. Those who have the wealth, actors, football players, all these people, very wealthy people, yeah? Ask yourself a question, are they happy? Why do they kill themselves? You often hear they commit suicide, they're on drugs, they're on drink, they're all sorts of things. Why is this? If they have the thing that's supposed to make you happy, why are they so unhappy? Because the things of the dunya don't make you happy. Yeah? And this is the very important thing, is that the things of the dunya don't last. Yeah? Very important point. If you ever taste something, yeah, you taste it once, the second time you taste it will be the same taste, as good? No. If you smell a perfume, mashallah, very nice smell, 5 minutes later, you can't smell it. So what happens is that what you do is that if you're after the material things, you just keep wanting more. You're always running after that. Nothing will ever be enough for you. And when nothing is ever enough for you, you have this mentality where you're not satisfied. You just always, I'm not happy, I don't have enough, that person has more, that person has more. You have the attitude of ingratitude. You don't see what Allah has given you, you see what He hasn't given you, and you see what other people have. And that causes great unhappiness in a person. And our children, we will suffer from that, living in this society. It's very easy to fall into the dunya trap, the materialistic trap. Yeah? I'm actually writing an article on this issue because I keep coming back. You know, there's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he said that every ummah has a fitna, and the fitna of my ummah is wealth. Yeah? We will have material things, and this is very dangerous for us. And we live in a materialistic society. We are affected by it, and our children will be affected even more by it. So we need to keep an eye out for what is actually. Make sure that, again, we're looking out for those materialistic things and we're trying to build the right ideas so they don't fall into this trap of being unhappy and run after this. I'll give an example. So, how should we view material things? If material things shouldn't make us happy, what should make us happy?
Worship Allah.
The worship of Allah. The pleasure of Allah should make us happy. The pleasure of Allah should make us happy. So even though we may be suffering or have to get up for Fajr, for instance, in the cold day, it's cold, you don't want to get up because your bed is really warm, but you get up, you force yourself to get up. The fact that you have sacrificed the warmth of your bed to do that, it should actually make us happy that we have done so for the sake of Allah. That should be where our happiness is. Giving away our money in charity to support and help other people should make us happy, because that's what makes Allah happy. Not holding on. You know, someone once said, it's very interesting, they said that, you know, in this society, it's the only society in history where they dig gold out of the ground and then they put it into a vault under the ground. Yeah? Strange, isn't it? That's what they hoard it. They get the gold and they put it in the vault and hoard it away so no one gets it. Yeah. It's strange. Like, why would you want to dig the gold out of the ground and then stick it back into the ground in the vault? Because this is the mentality: is put things away, hoard it, and put it away. It's mine. It's mine. This is materialism. It's mine. Look how much gold I have. Yeah? And not use it. The whole purpose of wealth is to use it, to distribute it, to let people benefit from it. Yourself, your children, your family, people around you. That's what Islam says. Very different way of looking at it. I'm writing about this, so maybe another day we can talk about how we should look at wealth and how we should get our children to look at wealth. Okay, so happiness is very important, and this is very important in terms of, because sometimes a lot of parents, they are very, they want their children to become, wealthy people, and everything is about, those sort of things. But it causes great distress to our children. Yeah? They may not want that. They may not be into that. I'll give you an example. I have a friend. He's a doctor, and he's a partner in a GP practice, and he was earning very good money. Yeah. But then, what I was surprised to find is that every night he would go off and do an extra 2-3 hour shifts. In the out of hours sessions. Yeah. So he'd do his normal 9 to 5, and then do an extra few hours. And I was thinking, what's wrong with you? You're already on a 6-figure salary. Why do you need to do extra? And he goes, look, bro, I've got 3 sons, and I want to have a house for each of them. Yeah. So I've got 3 mortgages, and I've got 3 mortgages, 3 houses. He's got his own house, and he's got 3, because he wants like 3 houses for his sons. And I said to him, bro, I understand what you're saying, but to be honest, your sons are what? 10, 8, 6. Every night you're out making money for something that you think that you're doing for them. Have you ever asked them, would they want you or would they want your money in 20 years' time? It's a simple question to ask. What do they need? Do they need their father or do they need a house? Yeah? And what happens usually when we leave, if you ever noticed, I don't know about the Zanzibari community, but in where I'm from, yeah, you know, you leave, parents leave property, it's all fighting. It's all fighting. Fitna.
It's everywhere.
It's
That's
fitna. It's fitna. Wallahi, it's fitna. Yeah, so because again, sometimes we don't build the right ideas, and sometimes we invest in the things which actually are not of benefit for us. We never benefited from the money that we earn. It's a very strange. I think it's a subcontinent issue. Yeah, we don't spend the money. We just, for some reason, we just hoard it and make houses. Yeah, which we can't. You know, you don't benefit from it.
You can't take with you.
You can't take with you. Your children fight over it. What's the point? Use the money. Use the money for your children, for everyone. Benefit from this money. Yeah, not waste it, but benefit from it. So that's a discussion about money. So number 2 is happiness. Number 3, can we remember what the third point was? So keep an eye on their iman, very important. Keep an eye on their happiness. And number 3 is, do we want them to be successful in this dunya?
Of course.
Yeah, we do. But what does it mean to be successful in the dunya is the question. Because again, point number 2, in the Western understanding, point number 2 tells us what success is, and that is that you should be, you know, money, basically have money, have influence, be rich, be famous, all of these things. But that's actually not, from Islam, it's not really the goal, the focus. I used to ask people, and I'm sure all of you have asked children this question, what do you want to be when you grow up? You've asked it, haven't you? I remember when I was a kid, people would ask me, my uncles would ask me, everyone would ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? Yeah. That's actually not a good question to ask our children. Because again, you're focusing them on the thing that you want to be. Doctor, lawyer, this, that, etc. Yeah. What would be a better question to ask? What would be a better question to ask your children? And try this from now on.
Where you want to be when you die?
Okay, that's an interesting question. That's an interesting question. Sometimes children might feel a bit, yeah, children might be like think, oh my God, like, I want to, yeah, that's right. It's a good question. There's a time for that question, but I don't think this is the time.
Muslim are be a good human being.
Yeah, what I was thinking is that what we should maybe ask, and all of us have nephews, nieces, people in the masjid, don't ask them what you want to be. Ask them, how are you going to, 2 things. How are you going to help others? How are you going to make the world a better place? And how are you going to further the cause of Islam?
Especially that one.
Do you see the difference between those 2 things? When you just put it as, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor. End of story, yeah? I want to be a whatever it is, yeah? When you ask them, how are you going to further the cause of Islam? How are you going to help the Ummah? I don't have much to say about Donald Trump, but he said this thing, like, make America great again. I changed that to make the Ummah great again, yeah? Make the Ummah great again. So we should put that thought into our children. Is that what are you going to do when you grow up that's going to help the Ummah? That's going to change the world, that's going to help people. Yeah? That should be your focus, because if that's the focus, then you start thinking, okay, I can be a doctor. That's the path. The doctor isn't the end point. Doctor isn't the end point. Being a doctor is not the end point. It's the, I'm a doctor so I can do that thing that I said when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I said I want to, help people and get rid of some disease or whatever, so that people can live better. So me being a doctor is that. But it might be you're not a doctor. You might be some sort of something else that can do that as well. So it's much broader, and I think that's very important to put an important point out. So the third thing is that we do want them to be successful in this world, but we want them to be good at what they do, and we want them to seek ihsan. That's a general quality. Ihsan is seeking perfection. It's seeking to do something in the best way possible. Yeah? Not just, just do it. No, we don't. That's, sometimes, the Muslims are people say about the Muslims, they're a bit lazy, they're a bit this, they're a bit... No, we should be the people who are always at the fore, doing things, good stuff, yeah, and doing the best that they can. Yeah? That should be our quality, seeking Islam. So our children, we should encourage them to always, whatever they do, they should do to the best of their abilities. And the best of their abilities will be different amongst different people. as we said. Yeah, some people Allah is gifted, and this is another thing. This is actually a sign of gratitude. Yeah, so that if Allah is gifted, Allah gives different people different characteristics. If He has given you a beautiful voice, how are you applying that voice to the cause of Allah? Do you use it to recite Quran? Do you use it to recite Quran to win over the people to the deen? Do you see? If you have a talent on how to speak in public, some people are very shy, they can't do that. Some people they can easily speak. You can speak and spread fitna and rubbish. Or you can speak the word of haqq and spread that. Allah will account you. He will ask you, I've given you these gifts, you don't have them. It's not from you. This is the other thing about Western societies, that they think everything is theirs, it's from them. I am rich because I worked hard. No, you're rich because Allah gave you money. Yeah. I am some big thing because I did the hard work. No, Allah gave you the ability to do the hard work. So we need to, restructure that and look at it that way. So everyone should do what they can in the best way, and actually focus not on the individual, but focus on the ummah. Make this ummah great again. That was last discussion, last one. Sorry, I've already spent half an hour this week, but it's important. What I'll do is recap, so we don't lose sight of what we've done. I want to move the discussion on a bit. And this is a discussion actually I think I mentioned about 2-3 years ago when I was here at one of these circles. And that is, why is it so hard to raise children? Why is it so hard to raise children? We know that this is what we want them to be worshippers, we want them to be happy, we want them to have iman, we want them to be happy, we want them to have ihsan. But why is it so hard to do that?
Because of the system we live in.
Okay, that's one thing, definitely. Is that the only thing?
We are a bit away from our deen as well. Like we just try and pray 5 times, but actually we're not focusing on our deen. That's the problem.
Okay, so how we understand our deen, what are we imparting to our children? Yeah, that's one other point. What else?
The culture, environment.
The culture and the environment, so the society.
Society.
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, now this brother remembers, yeah? He remembers from 3 years ago. 3 S's, this is why I always come back. Again, framework in our minds. If we remember a framework, we'll always put everything back. And I'll tell you, if you remember this, if you look at any problem, you can always come back to these 3 S's. Self, society, system. Self, what do I mean by self?